Welcome to a Saturday afternoon edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. Guys and girls, if you like all things true crime related from the police detective perspective, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you'll get all things DutyRon and Ed Wallace when we go live or upload another video. And today we're going to talk about EquuSearch Midwest. Dave Rader and Twila Sisco are here. They are going to be joining us to talk about a special drone, a professional drone that they sent out in the search for Dylan Rounds. EquuSearch is not boots on the ground in Utah, but they are providing support and services, equipment that we were instrumental in fundraising for. Ed Wallace, you spent about 4 hours with us on a live stream in February of 2022. We drummed up somewhere around $17,000 to $20,000 for EquuSearch Midwest, and they went out and bought a drone.
Yeah, good deal, folks. Thank you for your contribution to that cause. You know, these drones aren't cheap, especially the high-end ones with the infrared thermal imaging cameras and the tracking software and so forth. They run around $14,000 to $17,000.
Absolutely.
So good deal.
Absolutely. And I want to just say a special thank you to our Patreon supporters, the channel members, and all of the folks who positively engage in Crime Time with DutyRon on all of the cases. You guys are what makes this a great place. You are also what makes this an unbelievable community for people to come to respectfully speak about their thoughts and opinions without being, without being trashed or trash talk. So I thank you. I give each and every one of you a lot of praise for conducting yourselves in a adult-like manner. So thank you so much for that. Will 411 now sent in a super chat before we went live. He says, "I can't stay to watch or listen, sir. Hitting the links. Oh, the golf people. Nice." Anyways, you stay safe out there, and thank you for all you do. Much respect. Will 411 now. He's got a great true crime channel. He goes over a lot of the things, related to cases. You're not going to get a lot of theories and so forth out of Will at 411 now. I highly recommend everyone going over there and checking out his channel. There was also a super sticker from James Matney. Sends in a $3 super sticker. We appreciate the super sticker. Thank you, James, for that. Much appreciated. Ed, we've been speaking about Dylan Rounds. He went missing May 28th, was the last time he had communication with his grandparents on the phone of this year on May 28th. We've done so many different educational live streams in regards to forensics and police investigation, what goes on behind the scenes. We're at a stalemate with this thing. We got not a lot of activity going on. We have his mom, Candace Cooley. She is shouting from the rooftops like any good parent would. Any thoughts on this stalemate and where we're at? And luckily, we have great folks like EquuSearch involved.
Yes. Before we get started, though, I just want to give a shout out to all the folks affected by Hurricane Ian. And my thoughts and prayers are with you, especially the victims of this hurricane and anybody that lost a loved one and property. And God willing, you get back on your feet quick and get made whole again soon. Now back to this. So started off. The mom had to stomp and scream to get any kind of attention out of law enforcement on this case, and then she got some attention. Like the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and she got some attention. They started doing some stuff. There were interviews being done. There were investigation. The FBI got involved. Several people were arrested on warrants and unrelated charges. And then it seems like it went cold again. And now we're at that cold spot again. And she, any good parent missing a loved one like this would be furious that there is no movement in the case. There's no information being shared, has no clue as to what's going on and so forth.
Yeah. And Okie Dokie 7 says the first 48 hours of missing of anybody that has gone missing are vital to investigate.
I'm glad.
Go ahead.
No, I'm glad she said that, because we've been saying that from the get-go. If you treat these missings as criminal cases from the get-go in that first 48, okay, then you're less likely to make mistakes or miss things or overlook things. Okay. And if it turns out to be, in fact, just a missing where somebody of, adult of age decided they were going to do a walkabout or just, take off and do the Appalachian Trail or whatever the case may be, and then you find them later, no harm, no foul. But if you treat these cases as a lesser crime or not a crime at all, just a missing person, you're going to miss all this evidence. You're going to miss all this crucial material in those first 48 hours. So she's spot on, or he's spot on.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what okie dokie is.
And we're seeing this, yeah, exactly, Ed. And we're seeing this more now than ever that we're covering these missing person cases across the United States, how they do get it wrong from the beginning. And, if, like you said, if you work from the highest possibility of something really bad happening and then working your way, and you in your investigative steps, you eliminate that thought process of, okay, this is, a criminal investigation and not just a straight out missing. You have more of a chance of discovering. And here in Box Elder, we saw and we heard from Candace Cooley. She said they were not treating this like it was anything special. As a matter of fact, they let the main suspect, the main person of interest at this point, I hate that word as well, James Brenner, they were looking to not even upset him and were kind of treating this guy with kid gloves early on. I mean, he's behind bars now on an unrelated charge, but really he was, he was someone that they should have been interviewing and interrogating early on in this thing. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves on this, because what we're here to talk about today is EquuSearch Midwest and the great things that they do. We have Dave Rader, the operations director from EquuSearch Midwest, and Twila Sisco, the search coordinator. Bunny, thank you so much for the super chat. She sends in $20 and says, hello from Arizona. Can you comment on your thoughts about what can be done about the slow response from law enforcement relative to missing persons? Any changes in law? And we're talking about it actually right now. So thank you for that super chat. We can't control the narrative of how they operate and how they go about their investigations, but there is steps in an investigation 101. Ed's not saying anything that's rocket science here. He's saying things that you're supposed to do in these investigations. We talked about it in Kylie Rodney's case, right, Ed? When they were pulling that car out of the water over there at Prosser Lake, photographing, sketching, documentation, and all these things. We hope and pray that they did that, but we don't know if they did, and that's just a prime example of missteps if that in fact didn't happen. So
just keep in mind, folks, we said this many times throughout our various lives. Most jurisdictions, law enforcement jurisdictions, are small agencies, 25 or less people.
Yeah.
Okay. And, nobody likes to admit, their shortcomings. Okay.
Yeah.
And, whether or not they have the ability, the manpower, the training to do these things and ask for assistance. You've got to bury that ego. And when you are in a small jurisdiction like that, enact mutual aid agreements and get help from the outside to assist you with these investigations that you don't normally conduct.
Yeah, I agree. And, Dave and Twila are around a lot of these smaller groups. So we're going to, without further ado, we're going to add in Dave and Twila from EquuSearch Midwest. Dave, Twila, thank you for being here, guys.
My pleasure. Absolutely.
Hey, folks.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Welcome. So for those of you who are here in the chat and you don't know these two, Dave Rader is the operations director of EquuSearch Midwest, and they search for the missing. And I have, and Twila is the search coordinator for EquuSearch Midwest. I have a long list of accomplishments of EquuSearch Midwest. Combined with Texas EquuSearch, 1,860 plus searches in 42 states. They searched for Natalie Holloway in Aruba, Sri Lanka, Mexico, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, and Nicaragua. These are some parts of the world that they've been boots on the ground in. And they have over 400 missing people returned safely, 238 sets of remains, which is a higher number now because in the recent past, they were instrumental in recovering and bringing 3 people home, 3 family members closure. So I can't say thank you enough, and I'm honored to be a part of EquuSearch Midwest and helping out with the fundraising and being a law enforcement liaison. Me and Ed will do whatever we have to do to reach out. I want to go to you quickly, Dave. Candace Cooley, we communicate regularly. Twila's on the phone and back and forth with her on a regular basis in regards to her son, Dylan Rounds. You guys sent out a Maverick drone. I'm not up to date on the model, but it was the Maverick, I think, Pro 2. You sent that out to her. Can you just tell the audience the drone capabilities, how you guys got that drone, and what it does for searching for the missing?
So basically, what this drone, this specific one that we got, and it's thanks to your generosity and your listeners' generosity, is that we were able to acquire this drone to use. We bought a total of 4 drones, and then I sent the same one that I sent out to Candace to use on Dylan's case. Gene also has one in his hands, the same thing, so he can further do his work in order to really pinpoint this and bring this this piece of equipment, just fine tune it to where it makes it a little bit easier. So we acquired the Mavic 2 probably about 2-3 months ago, and this drone is specifically used with the full spectrum camera, which is used to actually look for disturbances on the ground or potential graves. So with the color variants, I know that Twila has been in contact with Gene as far as we were trying to run black on some of the imageries that she has been instrumental on as far as the locate. And then they wanted to use this, the FBI did. So we thought the only thing right to do is send this to her, and then she gets that drone pilot and flies the areas that need to be done, and then Gene will go over the imagery from there.
Well, that's fascinating, and I'm so honored and so happy that you were able to use some of the funding that we had with our EquuSearch Midwest fundraiser. That was in February of 2022. That makes me for me, it's heartwarming to know that you guys purchased the drones and these things that you guys are utilizing to search for the missing. Lost is not alone is, the mantra of EquuSearch. So thanks to the generosity of you, the viewing audience. So I give thanks and praise to each and every one of you that is here. Twila, you want to talk a little bit about some of the capabilities of this drone? I know Ed is up to speed on this thing. I want you to talk about, how you guys use this and how you use the program Locate, and also explain to the audience who Gene Robinson is, because some people that are new might not know, like, who's this guy Gene that Dave just mentioned?
Gene is actually, he has the brains, and I told him if anything ever happens to him, which I hope it doesn't, I want a small piece of his brains. Gene actually will be going over the images that they'll be doing for Dylan, because the drone with the camera on it that we sent to Candace, it picks up ground disturbances, and we feel like we've used Locate with other drones. With other drones, we've used Locate for Dylan's case, and like he said, Gene tried to run black. I haven't learned how to run black yet, but I know how to run for blue, pink, red, yellow, green, stuff like that. Actually, from the generosity of your channel and your people, the DutyRon family, Dave also got me a drone, and I've been flying, but I only fly for Locate, which I haven't worked a case on it yet. But Gene is the best, and if there's something there, there's no doubt in my mind that Gene won't be able to find it on that drone that they have up there with the camera that they're going to be using for Dylan.
Now, Ed, I know you have a question, but I just have one more thing before I forget it. Do you have locations of specific spots where these, I know it's up to Candace to try to get a drone operator, and that was the big thing, is to, you got the military bases around that area in Lucin where Dylan's farm was. But is there specific targeted areas that you guys are going to search, or is it just going to be start from the beginning and X off all of these locations?
I do believe that there is some areas of interest, and of course, y'all know we can't say exactly where, but I do feel like there is some areas of interest, and I do believe that they're going to be good areas. And then we may possibly give direction of flying over some other areas that we've already done for locate, and then try to use this drone with the camera to see for ground disturbances. As a matter of fact, Dave was going to send me and Tony out there with the drone, but I was like, wait a minute, I think Candace could probably find some really good experts out there that's closer. You know, it would save EquuSearch money also. And she's got some good people lined up to go do this, hopefully next week. And hopefully it'll give us some kind of answers. Other than putting boots on the ground, we're doing anything and everything that we possibly can to see what we can do to help try to find Dylan.
Fabulous.
So I just wanted to jump in and talk about Gene a little bit because Gene is the pioneer in using drones and searching for the missing and so forth. He was way ahead of his time, and now he's incorporating software. And you heard Twila talk about looking for black. Well, what this software does is that it gets the images from the drone, and you can program the software to look for the color red, look for this color, look for that color, and so that's basically what Twila was talking about. So when they review the images captured by the drone, they can this person was last seen wearing this color clothing, and then they can try to search all of that imagery and for that color clothing. Things of that nature.
And with that being said, we only need something the size of a $50 from 150 to 175 feet in the air. We got some really good pilots on our team now. Tony and Danny, they were just out working a case a couple weeks ago, and let me tell you, their images is flawless. I was able to see a tiny speck of pink in a tail light of a car that was moving down the road.
That's amazing. That is amazing. And Tennessee girl, ground zero for Summer Wells. She's in that area, in the Beach Creek area, sends in a $40 super chat. Thank you for your generosity. And she says, EquuSearch Midwest is top notch and dedicated to what they do. I agree wholeheartedly. These two people here on the screen with us have hearts of gold and are just instrumental in searching for the missing and bringing closure to families, one case at a time, and sometimes multiple cases at a time. There's not a lot that Dave and Twila say no to. These two are juggling things left and right, and I'm a witness to it, and Ed knows it too. These guys and gals, they are family people. They have things that they do. They have businesses that they run. They have households that they run, and they're out there giving their time. So I give thanks and praise to both of these folks. I want to play a little piece from HeavyDSparks. He is a big YouTube channel. He is out there doing a lot of different things on his YouTube channel. He searched. He was one of the first that came out and searched by air in his own helicopter. And he came back to the Lucin area and searched with another YouTube channel in the mines. We're not going to show the whole thing because it's actually 31 minutes, but he goes out with Earthworm Infotainment, and he goes out with Lance and Ty, and they go Ty Corbin, and they go into these caves. It's a fascinating video. I'll link it down below. You got to watch these guys and what they do. And again, anybody that's out there and searching for Dylan and searching for the missing and doing it the right way, we give kudos to you guys. So let me put this up on the screen and play just a little piece of this just so you guys can see. This is just a small tidbit from their video.
Person today. You guys may remember we posted a video, I think it was back in June or July, about a young man named Dylan Rounds who went missing out in the West Desert of Utah, on the far west side of the Great Salt Lake. Well, his case, as we all kind of knew it would, garnered a lot of attention. People have been watching this case very closely because it doesn't add up. There are so many things that don't make sense, and since he's been missing since I think the end of May, and there's still no sign of him, the police, the FBI, tons of different agencies have gotten involved, and I can't speak to what the actual investigation consists of because I don't know. But again, like I said, this has become a case of just no answered questions. But everybody wants to help and wants to find Dylan. It's just it's a rough spot since it's so far away from everywhere. Law enforcement doesn't reach very far into it. And I gotta take back some things I said in my very first video about this. Montello, Nevada I made some general statements about it being kind of a dark, dirty, bad place. That's not the case, and I didn't mean it that way. The majority of the people that live out in Lucin and Montello in that area are good people that, in fact, they moved out there because they don't want to be bothered by people. They just want to be alone. And so, you know, certain bad people and bad situations take advantage of that, and that's kind of what's led Dylan's case to becoming such a nightmare. So we're headed out there right now. We're going to fly out in a helicopter that you may not recognize unless you follow, you know, our buddy the Muscle on Instagram, then you definitely recognize it. But this is his brand new helicopter, and since I always fly my helicopter everywhere for everything for the last 5 years, I figured it's time for a change of pace. So I'm taking his. He's out of town. We're going to jump in his Eurocopter AS350, now made by Airbus, but it's basically A-Star, high performance, 6-passenger helicopter, super cool. We're going to take it out there and meet up with Hans and Alan and Cooper and the rest of the guys.
Money. You got my money?
No money means no cherry Coke, which means not a good day.
For us, not for him.
Yeah,
Yes.
So I just wanted to play that little snippet there because it shows you these guys. They went out there and they're searching for the missing. They're, you know, helping to try to do whatever they can do for Dylan Rounds. And you know, any help in a situation like this where you have, they're like, listen, we have Candace Cooley. She's jumping up and down. That, you know, Box Elder and these different organizations and these different police organizations in that area, they're not arguing with each other, but they're actually, there's like this territorial thing because it's where Lucin is right on the border. And, you know, if you go into Montello, you're in a different state. So you got states that, you know, it's like Ed, when we had Nassau County, you know, or you know, NYPD would chase somebody into Nassau County and they'd be like, well, this is your case. You handle it. So it's that kind of thing where, but we know that Box Elder is the lead on this thing. And there was Candace Cooley making, you know, she was making pleas with the authorities to have somebody else take over this case. So any help like this from a HeavyDSparks, the guy's got a helicopter. I mean, how much of a important asset is that in a case like this, Ed?
Oh, absolutely. You know, the aerial view for searches is great. I mean, just think about why EquuSearch rather started. They used horses because now being high up on the horse gives you a better view to search. Now, if you get even higher with a helicopter, which is obviously more expensive and time consuming, the fuel is more expensive, the maintenance on the helicopter is more expensive than a drone, but any overhead view with searching. And then if you add in forward looking infrared thermal imaging assets to the and high quality video to that, coupled with all the new software that is out there, it's a tremendous asset for searching for the missing.
Yeah, 100%. Hey, Twila, I wanted to go to you with, you know, with your communication with, you know, putting all this stuff together. I know you're back and forth with Candace and there's a lot you can't talk about, but how confident are you that they're going to be able to get you guys what you need to clear? Because as Dave said in many other past live streams with us, is we know where these people are not once we clear these areas. But I mean, how much time do you think is going to be spent on this? Is this going to be days? Is this going to be a week? Is this going to be something that's going to be ongoing with that drone? Or are they going to keep it for months?
I guess it really depends on, well, one of the areas of interest that I know of that's been shared with me, I did have Tony, one of EquuSearch's pilots, look at it. And I do know that he said it was going to take about 8 batteries, I think. And then the flight time said it was going to take about 6 hours, which is crazy because most flights that he's been doing in Ohio and in Kentucky is like a 6, 7, 8 minute flight. So I do know that they have a really big area that they're going to be checking out. And it just depends on the areas. I feel like if she's got good pilots, and see, with the drone and the camera that they have, you can only fly that drone at certain times of days, or you'll get shadows and stuff like that. So it can only be flown from maybe like 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. But it all depends on the wind. It depends on how the sun's sitting. There's a lot to it because we used the drone and that camera out in Jackson, Tennessee on another case. And we got there thinking we were going to fly and we couldn't. We had to wait till that sun was sitting just right. So I think it all plays a factor on the weather and the sun and all that stuff. But they're more than welcome to use it as long as they want to. We actually got it from another agency that had it in Alabama working a case so that we can get it down there to them so that they can go ahead and fly this and see what we can find. Because timing is everything. As days go by, it's harder and harder and harder for the search teams to come in and try to do some work on a case. It gets very, very hard.
Yeah, and the good thing about the drone is using GPS coordinates and the software, you can go onto your computer and program the drone for a specific search pattern. And it's almost, once you get the drone up in the air, then it becomes automatic, and the drone will go back and forth and complete the search pattern and then return back to base.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's really good. I can't speak highly enough about it.
Yeah.
Our guys, that's what our guys do when we get a case, and we've been really busy with drone work lately for locate. Our guys, we'll give them the area that we need flown, and then they'll go with backup areas. They go out and recon and find areas for themselves. They're able to go ahead and go in and put that in the drone onto their maps, and then when they fly one mission, they've already got their other mission started and they ready to go to start, and they don't waste any time when they get out of the car to start their mission of what they're going to do for their assignment for the day. They get that drone out and their maps is already programmed in there for them to go ahead, get it out and take off and start their mission. They waste no time.
And that's the way it has to be.
Ed, could you tell the audience what we're looking at here? This is what you and I were reviewing. This is a Maverick Pro 2. This is the actual drone, I believe, that Dave and Twila, that Dave sent out to Candace Cooley. So this is a living human being that laid down. But could you just walk the audience through this?
Yeah.
Ed?
So under the thermal image camera on the drone, red is hot, white is not, and so you're seeing this individual lying on the ground, and you can see the heat difference between him and the ground, and as well as what parts of his body are hotter than the others. Like the upper body seems to have this nice red glow to it. So that you can see. And for some reason, his legs are not as hot as the others. Now, it appears that he's been wearing shorts. I'm not a doctor and I don't play one on TV. Is Dr. Moskowitz here? But if I was, just looking at this, I said, hey, maybe this guy has a circulatory problem with his legs and he needs to go see his doctor. Okay. But you can see what's hot there. His whole upper body and his his pelvic area is very hot, and the rest of his body's not. So now, if this is a live person. Now, if this was a dead person, over time, the body would then form an equilibrium with the surrounding temperatures. But once the decomp starts, then that would be a heat process. Anybody that's ever done composting knows when the compost is breaking down and you put your hand over a composter, you really feel the heat. And anybody who has a thermal imaging camera, you can really see the heat difference in the composting. So in this case, if the body was dead, then and the decomp started, then there would still be a different heat signature from the surroundings that the body's lying in.
Twila, can you make anything out of this? I mean, I could put the audio on, but does any of this stuff look familiar to you when you're looking at this?
Yes, it does, because I actually have two drones here, and the first drone that Dave sent out here, it does have the thermal on it, and I flew it out one night and had the kids out in the yard, and you can most definitely see it. But I'm like, I'm with Ed there, like, I don't know what's going on with his legs, I don't know what's going on with his legs. But if that was a deceased person and that person was underground, I think Gene's been doing some studies at the body farm. It actually, and Dave may have to help me out here. I can't remember, but how many days out is it that the body still puts off temperature? I can't remember exactly what it was that Gene had told us.
So basically, he's doing some research work with the drone that we sent down there, body farm down in down in Texas.
I think it was like, I can't remember if it was 60 days. I can't really remember for sure. Do you remember?
Ed knows.
A total of 30 days. It was a total of 3 months. They had this individual buried 3 foot down, and he was actually able to pretty much see the outline of the body with this full spectrum camera. Not only that, but there was also a 2-degree difference from, and also the body, and also the compared to the ground that was surrounding the body.
Right. So there's two factors at play here. Once you disturb the soil to dig the grave, all the mineral content of the soil that is removed from the grave will never be the same as the undisturbed soil. So then you put the body in, the dead body, into the shallow grave, and then you throw the soil back in top of it. So again, now when the soil heats up from exposure to the sun, the soil that was removed and then put back in is going to give you a different heat signature than the soil that was not disturbed by the shovel. And on top of that, then you have the body decomp underneath, and that's going to add to heat to this process. So it doesn't surprise me that Gene was able to get that outline of the body underneath that 3 feet of soil.
Now, can this drone that we're sending out to that Candace Cooley has in her possession, can it detect if there was a grave dug and, say, God forbid, Dylan was put in this grave? Twila, Dave, anybody speak on that?
Yes, it absolutely will. Because like Ed said, once you disturb that ground, it's not going to be the same one. And Gene has the perfect eye for it. I mean, I've seen some images of things, of ground that's been disturbed, of, where possibly somebody probably could have put a body. But absolutely, that camera that's out there, it's actually the camera that's on the drone that's doing the work. We flew it in East St. Louis, I believe it was, and there was some ground disturbances there, but there wasn't nothing of importance. But if, Lord Jesus, if Dylan is out there in any of these areas that's going to be flown with that drone with the camera on it, I'm pretty sure, without a doubt, Gene will be able to determine whether he's there or not.
Amazing. Dave, any thoughts on that?
Again, we're putting the right tool that we believe in Candace's hands in order to further this. So, and again, I want to also sit there and give some shout outs to Heavy D and Muscle and the boys at Diesel Brothers. They're a bunch of good dudes. I mean, and their hearts are as big as they are. Let me tell you, because if you ever watched their show, I mean, they're always giving away something. And for him to use a helicopter, that is instrumental, especially with that kind of ground that's out there. You can get from point A to point B a lot quicker. You can see, as Ed was saying, different vantage points. And and hopefully maybe that's how they got some of these areas picked out that they want us to use this full spectrum camera, was from the recon that they did from a helicopter. So and that's a huge piece of the puzzle. But again, running a helicopter with the amount of aviation fuel, and then you have the pilot's time, but in this case, you have to use something like that because you've got so much ground to cover. And then if they identify specific ones, then the targets, then we can go ahead, and now we've got the drone in Candace's hands that they may be able to fly those pieces of land.
And for folks who don't understand, when Dave and Twila talk about full spectrum, we're talking about the spectrum of light imagery. So you're talking everything from infrared all the way to UV, and in between infrared is, Roy G. Biv, right? If you know the colors of the rainbow. So that's your full spectrum of light capability in the camera.
Yeah. I wanted to ask.
I've seen, not to interrupt you, DutyRon, but I've seen thousands of images from around where Dylan's stuff was. I mean, I've seen thousands, and I've sent some to Dave, and I may have sent some to you, DutyRon. I'm not sure, but if I haven't, I will. the area is so big. I had a pilot tell me that I think you're going to need somebody that's better than I am at this because the area is so big. And these images, let me tell you, they look like something that you would buy at some fancy store that you would hang up in your house for decorations. It's beautiful, but it's huge. Huge, huge.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at some of the footage from the HeavyDSparks from the first go around that he, you know, the first flyover that he did, and it was, to me, it just looked like an astronomical amount of potential areas, you know, to look. So it was just, for me, it just seems like this is like trying to find a needle in a haystack kind of situation. But when you have the drone that can cover so much ground, and then you have a guy like Gene and yourself who are now getting, you know, Gene's an expert, but you're starting to get into that, you know, you're being taught by Gene what to look for and things of that nature. I think, you know, this helps. When we talked about the boys in California City and they searched that Kern River, there was like 8,600 images of all these pictures that Gene shared with me. You know, he just asked me not to share it because of the criminal investigation. But I looked at those pictures. I was like, how could you look at all these? Like, I mean, that has to be an exhausting process to look at them one by one.
Dave tells me I have the eagle eye, and I get these images, and let me tell you something. I will sit there for hours and hours, and if I get tired of looking at them, I get up and I do something for a few minutes, and I'm right back at it. Ask Dave, he'll tell you. As a matter of fact, I was doing images on a case in Ohio, I believe it was, and I try to rule things out, and if I'm not sure, I'll send it to Gene and be like, what do you think about this? So I was doing locate one day for a case, and I told Dave, it was late. I called him and I was like, Dave, there's something I found on here. I just can't rule it out. I cannot say, hey, this don't need to be checked. So the next morning we sent Tony. Tony was going back out there to fly some more areas, and he ended up telling a fire department person, hey, we got some hits on a target from my flight yesterday or whatever. So Tony goes over there, and whatever this was, I think God sent us there or something. I don't know. But literally, when he went over to check this target out, they made the recovery of the person that was missing. And then we had another case after that. This happened within like 2 or 3 days, I think it was. It was 2 recoveries that we had flew flights for. Tony had went out and flew, and I told Dave, I was like, I just can't rule this out. And then they went and checked the targets and or reconned or whatever, and sure enough, there they were. So we've it's awesome technology, and it saves money because travel now is so expensive. Everything is so expensive, and we do not just ship those drones out to just anybody whatsoever. But we knew putting it in Candace's hands, it was going to be in good hands. She's going to protect it. She knows not to put it in anybody's hand, and the people that she's going to put in this drone in their hands, I believe in my heart they're going to do a really good job. And it takes a lot of time, a lot of patience, and you really have to pay attention to this stuff. I don't only rely on locate when I'm running the images. I use my eyes too, because I don't want to miss anything. And the other day Dave was telling me, oh, do you think you can run locate for a gun? And I was like, really, Dave? Yeah, we'll try to do that. So I got images for that. I was trying to look at these images for a gun, but I absolutely love it. And I love flying the drone. The 2 guys that's on there with me, they've taught me so much stuff, including Gene. I think it is the best technology out there.
Yeah.
Now, folks, for those who don't know what locate is, it's a software, and it uses an algorithm to conduct searches of the images that they took from the drones. It's very similar to AFIS, the automated fingerprint identification system, and then IBIS, the integrated ballistics identification system. So they do these searches, and then they'll come up with a list of suspects, and then it'll take a person like Twila then to get her eyes on what they say. Hey, look at this. And then it's the person that makes the decision, not the computer.
Right. Here's a question for you, Ed. It's coming from the audience, and we're going to go to the audience for questions in about 5 minutes. So if you have questions, hold them for 5. But Dawn Marie, moderator, great friend, channel member, all of the above, she says, Ed, what if a body was burned before it was buried?
Now, it depends on the extensive damage caused by the burn. Now, if the body is placed in the ground after it was set on fire and burned, and then buried, So for a short period of time, there'll be a different heat signature under the ground because of the body being so much hotter than the soil around it. But then it would cool down. Now, if the burn is extensive, typically what ends up happening is you're not going to get the same decomp effects because the bacteria and fungi and so forth that create the breakdown of the tissues and the organs and the internal organs and so forth, skin is not going to be there because bacteria cannot survive in too hot or too cold an environment. There are some bacteria that we've learned, can survive, extremely hot temperatures. Like there were bacteria that were found in, Old Faithful, the geyser out in our park here, and scientists were shocked that they were able to survive in that kind of heat above boiling.
Right.
But it's not in a body. Our bacteria are not going to be able to survive that kind of thing.
And I remember, Ed, our friend Dr. Murray Marks from the Body Farm, he's a forensic anthropologist. He was asked a question about decomp and how quickly it happens by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And his answer was depending on the conditions, the temperatures,
Mm-hmm.
the environment, as you said, and also if there is trauma to the body, if the person is stabbed, if the person is shot with a gunshot, if there's an open wound, it speeds up the process because it allows the bugs to get in there and makes the decomp quicker when there's an open wound, as opposed to if someone's suffocated or neck broken or trauma that was to the body that didn't open up any crevices inside the body on the body.
Right. Yeah. Once you have those open wounds, then that allows other opportunistic bacteria, fungus, and so forth to get in there and do damage. There was a question here, James ML. Yeah, he's talking about if a body was decomp and lying on its back, supine rather, that the blood would pool. That's called liver mortis, where the blood will then, by gravity, flow to the low points of the body in the body's current position, and then after time that will fix. But if the body's moved in between, it's the time that the liver mortis started and then it wasn't fixed, then that can be indication that the body was moved and then put in a different position because you'll have two different sets of liver mortis. But that's, not neither here or there for what we're talking about, but just, wanted to.
Dave and Twila, I'd like you guys to take a peek at this. This is from HeavyDSparks from the first go around. Took me a few minutes to pull it up because, I'm challenged with technology. I admit to it. But I pulled it up. I got it here. I want you guys to take a peek at this. This is them right before they go airborne. I mean, this is them getting closer to coming into Lucin. But this is what you're looking at, Twila. I know that you're familiar with this landscape, and everybody could still hear you here on the live. I'm going to actually mute the music and so forth. But can you take the audience through some of these challenges here as we look at Heavy D going through it with the helicopter?
I can tell you one thing that looks so very familiar, and folks, that's what you're dealing with right there. I think I had the pilot at 150 AGL, no higher than 175. And in some of it, you could see the dust flying from the winds, and pretty much all you're looking at, I was like, this is going to be easy. This is just open land out here. And it is by far absolutely not easy whatsoever. And, let me tell you, it is some work. It is some work, most definitely. And if you can see, look at all that land that's out there. All that would be areas of interest and would need to be cleared out, and just look at it.
Yeah.
It makes you speechless because you're like, okay, this should be easy. People think, okay, we're going to put a group of people together and go out here and search. This isn't going to be hard. Believe me, that right there is probably harder than searching inside of a bunch of trees and briars and everything else. But all that looks so very familiar. And I've heard that these guys have been in places like I can't even imagine how they got in there. And I've heard that they've done amazing work from start all the way up to now.
Yeah.
I'm excited to actually meet them, but I mean, look at that. There's nothing for miles. I was fooling around on Google Earth one day and I I dropped the pin in one location and dropped the pin in another location, and it wasn't even like 3 miles, and it said it was going to take like 45 minutes to get to the other location. And I was like, this is nuts. But all the images that I got to have Gene run through locate for Dylan for Black, that's exactly what they look like right there.
Yeah, and
I have that exact image there.
It reminds me of, you know, West Texas being so flat and expansive that you know, there was an old joke about I once watched my dog from my porch run away for 3 days. You know, you mean it's just flat, and you can just look out to the horizon and, you know, not get a real grasp of how far distance we're talking about here. You know, and it's a lot to cover for a search. And now look with Heavy D and his helicopter. You know, you got to worry about your altitude. You have to worry about your downdraft or your wash from your blades on your helicopter, you know, disturbing things below. And the same thing with a drone too. I mean, you have to maintain a certain height, otherwise your downwash or your from your blades will disturb things below and kick up dirt and sand, and, you know, could potentially move evidence, because we have that problem with crime scenes and drones and so forth. But, you know, nothing better than being up high and looking down. I mean, and this, you know, the military has some great systems. Unfortunately, we can't. They're not being used here. That could, you know, map this whole area. You know, in just several passes.
Right.
And even satellite imagery. You know, if we had that kind of money, if we had like a millionaire can come by and scan this whole area.
Yeah. Yeah. Mystic Rogue, thank you for becoming a new member. We appreciate. And everybody, if you're not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing to Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. Consider giving this video a thumbs up, sharing it out there, get the name out there for EquuSearch Midwest. Make sure you support them. All of their links to support their great mission and what they're doing is all linked in the description of this. I'm going to let this minute and 30 seconds go with the audio so you guys can hear him coming in to Loose End to meet with Dylan's parents. And I'm going to let this fly while anybody needs to take a break or do whatever. We'll be right back.
Just remind me.
About 10 miles from where we're meeting up with Dylan's family. I'm not sure if this is the actual farm or the ranch where he was working or right nearby it, but from here we're going to be able to touch down, meet with his parents, and then all the other people who are out here looking for him, and then get a good idea of or a better idea of what happened. And then we're going to pick back up and search the area. This is basically kind of the terrain we're going to be searching. It's kind of like lake bed. It's kind of like this is a little bit higher than the Bonneville Salt Flats, and then you've got these huge mountain ranges that come up out of it. So I think the ranch or the farm that we're going to was on the lake bed part. So hopefully we don't have to fly too up in the mountains as far as searching for him goes. But we'll see what shakes out when we meet up with the family here.
Yep, this is Dave Sparks. So.
Hi, I'm Candace. I'm mom. This is my husband, Mike.
Hi, Mike. Nice to meet you guys. I'm sorry.
All right, so that was the beginning of where it happened. And you know what? I want to put this out to my panel here and everybody that's watching in the chat. I mean, who better than a guy like this that's familiar with this terrain? He's flown it. He is a pilot. He knows the ins and outs. You heard him talking about some of the bodies of water and things of that nature and ravines and stuff. So I think that this is a great candidate for someone helping him. He's gone down into mines and searched for Dylan in these mine shafts. And when I watched the last video that they did, it actually gave me anxiety looking at them going into these small little slim mine shafts. I mean, what's the chances of Dylan being down in mine shafts like that, Dave? And I hate to put you on the spot, but I know that takes a lot of effort. That takes a lot of energy to take a 19-year-old and drag him or throw him down a mine. Any thoughts on that, guys?
I think personally, again, it depends on who done it, what they have access to, the mine shafts. Are they still are they still accessible? It's seclusion. I mean, and again, when harm comes to a victim and you're trying to hide a body, it's going to be your opportunities are, you're either going to bury them in that kind of terrain, or you're going to put them in something, and again, in a mine shaft. So you can't rule anything out at this point in time. I mean, so if it was accessible, it makes sense, then it needs to be investigated and searched and cleared.
Ed, what about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. First of all, you have a small list of suspects. Get their cell phone data information. See where they're pinging. Are they pinging by any of these mines in the time frame that we're concerned about? Did they pull the data out of Dylan's truck? Because there was some speculation that the truck had been used by somebody that was not familiar with it, based upon the seat position and the fact that someone put it into four-wheel drive when the four-wheel drive wasn't working. Right. And see if any vehicle information can be discerned that would put it in a location near any of these mines. Now, if the locals know where these mines are, and the local suspects know where these mines are, and some of these mines, thousands of feet deep, right. Make an ideal location to dispose of a body.
Absolutely. And that's why I mentioned it. We look at Jim Brenner. He doesn't look like he's a physically fit guy, and he's a squatter, right? He's living on people's properties. So he doesn't have access to a lot of vehicles. But Dylan's vehicle was there. He could have used it. There could be so many different possibilities. Yes, any of this could be a possibility. And I wasn't saying or discounting it. I was just saying that to search them is just such a dangerous thing. You're watching these guys, and I'll pull it up in a few minutes. Twila, I know you do the ground searches, right? You're the search coordinator. I mean, fitting into these little, have you seen his last video that he was doing going into these mine shafts, Twila? And your thoughts about that aspect of search?
I don't think I've seen it, but I do know that let me tell you, when we do searches, and we're in an area, we try not to leave anything out. I've got pictures of some of my teammates that's had from their shoulders all the way to the top of their head in a hole just to clear it. And believe me, they've put me down in abandoned boats because I'm the smallest one that's there, and almost get attacked and killed by raccoons, and nothing is left undone. But some of these things, like what these guys are doing, I've seen some things, but not all the things that they're doing. And let me tell you something, I don't see how they're doing it. Honestly, I'm like you, it gives me anxiety watching it. It's interesting, and that just shows you how good they are. They're putting up themselves to help find Dylan, and that's amazing right there. But I did hear that these guys are absolutely great, and they go in places I think I'd be scared to go in it. I'd do it, but I'd be terrified.
Well, not everybody should be doing this. This requires special training and equipment. They would need a multi-gas meter when they enter these locations to make sure the oxygen level is at least 20.9 and nothing below 19.6. Otherwise, they have to leave. It's a confined space, so that requires a lot of other things. Then the meter also has to be able to detect hydrogen sulfide and carbon monoxide.
Look at this.
Because these are two toxic gases that are normally found in these mines that could kill a human being.
And what about
and these people are
what
trained.
about snakes and wildlife inside these things?
Bears, snakes. I mean, this is a man-made mine, but if they're abandoned, animals will find them and use them for shelter.
I mean, look at what these guys are doing.
And
look at
folks
this.
at home, out in that area, please don't think that you can go out and do this. This is not safe. This is for professionals like these guys that's on that screen, because you can get down in there and trust me, there could be a situation to where nobody can get down in there to get you out. But these guys are experts and they know what they're doing. They're trained, they're professionals. So do not go out there trying to think that you can do what these guys are doing, because you don't even need to think about doing it.
And in addition, you know, you have bats and rats that live in here, and their feces contain bacteria that could kill us. You know, you can get I forgot the name. I think it's a hantavirus, if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. But you know, a lot of times cavers end up getting this disease, which is deadly.
Yeah. I mean, look at what these guys are doing. This is all in the name of finding Dylan Rounds and finding the missing. I mean, I can't say enough about these folks, because, like you said, Ed, if you go in here as an amateur without all the rigging and the roping, and you see all the safety measures that they're utilizing here, you fall down one of these things, and you have 2 or 3 or 1 or 2 guys with you, you're finished. You can't call 911. It's not like, hey, get me help here. They're in the middle of nowhere. You know?
And
you're gonna have your picture is gonna be on a missing persons poster. So don't go out there and try that. Do not.
Right. And I mean, think about it. A lot of the shoring up of these mines that were done back in the day were using heavy timbers, and those things are like hundreds of years old. And you don't know how rotten they become over time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Karina sends in a super chat, and she actually, it was, I don't know if that was a super chat. I'm going to go back to it and look. Okay, no. So she sent in a member's member. Thank you for being a member for 11 months. She says, DutyRon, Ed, and chat, greetings from Austria. Thank you so much for being a member and being a part of this community. But yeah, you look at this and you just say to yourself, this is all in the name of finding Dylan Rounds. So HeavyDSparks and his crew and I know I'm saying it wrong, Earthworm Tainment, I think it is, Ty and Lance, they're out doing this, and I think that they have extensive experience searching, and I think that they're just trying to eliminate all of these possibilities that are probably, if they're doing it, you know, efficiently, they're going to start from whatever's the closest and then work their way out. Thank you so much, Anita, for the super chat. She says, HeavyDSparks are fantastic. We agree. They work together with Adventures with Purpose sometimes. Hello to Ed and Ron. Love your show. Thank you. Thank you. I mean,
hey, Dave, the next time you ask me, what can I do? What can I do to help you? I'm going to be like, can you go down in that hole like that man is right there? I think we should put Dave off in there and see what he can handle.
His arms will get stuck in there. Those big balloon arms of his. He'll never get out.
Yeah.
Gosh, look at that. I mean, that just amazes me. That's interesting to me, and it amazes me. But I wonder how long it took him to get to that point to go down in something like that, because that is crazy.
Yeah, safety first, boys and girls.
I mean, as we watch this, and I thought this was important to show this, this is nothing short of heroic. I mean, you couldn't pay me enough to go down there. I mean, right now at this point in time, if I was 25, 26, and that was part of what I did as a profession, yeah, I would do it. But these guys are crazy, man. They have balls of steel, man. God bless them.
I give my props to them, buddy. Woo.
Amen. Amen.
Look at that hole he just crawled out of. I mean, look, they're having some fun, right? That's some of the camera crew.
Nobody never know you were in that hole. Nobody.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, they make fun of it. And Ed, you know, you and I can attest to this. We laugh and joke sometimes amongst ourselves as police detectives, right? We're on crime scenes where there's multiple, you know, DOAs and multiple people shot or stabbed or whatever. And we're at those scenes for hours. And not that we're doing stuff like that, but we try to make jokes amongst ourselves to try to cope with the stressful situation. And here...
It definitely is a coping mechanism. Absolutely. You know, the horrific things we see and man's inhumanity to our fellow man. You just can't believe people would do this stuff to each other. And yeah, so that's our morbid sense of humor helps us deflect some of the horror that we're situated in. But there was a couple of questions, if you don't mind, if I jump in and answer these.
And first, before you answer them, what are we looking at here? This looks like those drop-offs that they talk about, the mudslide places. Remember?
Yeah, it looks like that's little hills or something.
Yeah, because if you look at the top of it, it looks like dirt and so forth is coming down here, And I remember her talking that one of the locals said, if you want to get rid of somebody, bring them to the mud slurry drop off. I might be saying that wrong. Somebody in the chat, if you know what I'm talking about, correct me. But this looks like a spot. And if you took someone and just dumped them down here, who's going to go looking over here?
That looks like it's man-made, actually. Given the lack of debris down in the lower portion of it, it might be the entrance to the mine.
Yeah, it has to be, because that's where they were filming.
Yeah.
Those guys right there are the ones that's going to go looking, and they're going to find them. So don't get no ideas of taking nobody out there and dumping them, because those guys look like they ain't scared to go out there and look for something.
Yeah, you mean business. So, Ed, go ahead with the questions.
All right. So there was one question: if a body was 3 feet deep, would that be enough depth to keep the local indigenous wildlife from digging it up? It depends on the size, and we're talking carnivores, because if you're a herbivore, you're not going to go after that. You'll smell the decomp, because the decomp gases are going to rise and come out of the ground, and any animals nearby that get that scent and are hungry are going to track it down and look for a free meal. And so it depends on how big. If that carnivore is pretty big, they can dig that out. Maybe a coyote or a wolf or something like that, or even a bear. A bear's nose is unbelievable sensitive. Polar bears even crazier sensitivity. I mean, they can track people 25, 30 miles away and go after that scent. And they're unforgiving. Once they get a scent, they're on it, and they're not going to stop until they find it. But we don't have polar bears in this region. But I'm just saying some of the larger carnivores would probably go down there. Yeah, feral hogs too. Oh, man, they're nasty. But there was another question that was asked about what if the body was wrapped in aluminum foil and then placed in the ground? Well, the heat would transfer to the aluminum, and then it would radiate from the aluminum. It's not going to stop the heat signature. Now, if there was a radio frequency embedded in, on the person, it would stop the radio frequency from coming out, but it's not going to alter the heat.
We got Rocky Pastorino in the chat, our good friend over from Fernley, Nevada. Rocky, we love you, appreciate you, and thank you for being here. Thanks for, being a member and supporting, and I hope all is well with you on your end, Rocky. Always great to see you in the chat. Guys, I feel that the help from outside sources, look at what we had with Adventures with Purpose in the Kylie Rodney case, right? There's an argument out there that if they didn't come onto the scene, when would Kylie have been found? I know eventually she would have been found, because she was, in that position and so close, and somebody was going to find her. But they got there, and when they started searching, and within 37 minutes, they found her. I think that HeavyDSparks and his crew, they're not done with this thing, and we hope that they do come back and help out going forward. If you guys aren't supporting their channel, go over and subscribe. I'll link them below in the description. There's already in the description a way to go over to support EquuSearch Midwest, Dave Rader, and Twila. Hey, Dave or Twila, if you want to take this, let's talk about what your recent accomplishments, because your accomplishments have been phenomenal with Tony, with using locate and using drones. Twila, I think, Dave, you could correct me because you're the boss. Could Twila be the best to speak on this at this point?
Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, it was a team effort, that's for sure. I mean, we had three recoveries in 3 different states in less than 2.5 weeks. So
I'll let the two of you take it. We're going to remove me and Ed, and you guys go.
Okay.
Two of those recoveries was within 3 days' time. It seemed like we couldn't get Tony home before he had to go right back out. Like he's been messaging me too. I'm like, why haven't I heard from you? Well, you need to give me a case to work. You need to give me a case to work. But yes, those recoveries was within 2 weeks. One was with the locate target that we found, and Tony was going back out to fly, and then pretty much the same thing. And another teammate went out there with Tony to look around or whatever, and the person was recovered. And then the other one in another state, a few teammates went out. Tony was going to fly, and they pulled up into an area just to make their plans of what they were going to do, and they got out and made a recovery. So we've definitely been busy in the drone end of it. I think we've been really, really busy with that. And I believe Dave's been doing evidence searches and stuff like that up there, right, Dave?
Yeah, we were called in a couple of weeks ago on a gun that was used in a homicide in a high-speed chase, and we actually had an area of interest that the detectives wanted us to do. So we not only flew it with the drone, and then through the imagery down to Twila down in Tennessee there for the locate. Then we utilized metal detectors, and then after the metal detectors, then we put boots on the ground. So we covered it in 3 different levels, from the air through the metal detecting, and then we actually put boots on the ground. So we didn't miss that piece of evidence. So
That's phenomenal.
And just to remind everybody, because I know we get contacted a lot about us coming in to assist with a missing persons case. We enjoy it. It's our passion, and we do anything that we can to absolutely help with the missing person. But the procedures and stuff that we have to go by, law enforcement has to give us an okay. So you would have to go onto our website, EquuSearchMidwest.com, I think. DutyRon, is that it? And fill out that missing person report. But you have to also make sure you let law enforcement that's handling that case know that you are reaching out to a search and recovery team, and make sure that they're aware. And we have to get permission. We can't just, you're more than welcome to reach out to us about a missing person, but you have to keep in mind, before we can do absolutely anything, even look at the case, we have to make sure law enforcement gives us approval. Because I know we get emails after emails after emails of missing person, and we want to help everybody. We just have to do it the right way. Make sure that or that law enforcement knows that what you're doing, and just know that ahead of time, that we have to have approval from law enforcement. That's not our rules. That's the main rules of the branch way above us, the main office. Just remember that.
Yeah. Absolutely. And thank you for that great information. So on the screen, I put EquuSearchMidwest.org, and they have an EquuSearch Midwest Facebook page that's linked in the description. But if you go to DutyRon.com, I have links on DutyRon.com that will get you straight over to EquuSearch. Now, Ed, you're laughing and smiling. What are you seeing in the chat? Go ahead, Ed. You got it.
I got to give Phil Leo some props here. He made me laugh. He says, when it's hot out, I can track a Klondike bar for 27 miles.
Oh, Phil Leo. He did stand up for a little while, so he's getting back into the stand up game.
Somebody get that guy a Snickers bar. I think he's hangry.
Okay. All right. I have a message that came in on my phone from from Candace. She says, DutyRon, just let everybody know, all your listeners know, that as soon as I have the details on the drone search and everything that we have lined up for next week, I will give you guys an update. She'll come live with us and give us an update. So she's trying to work out, different drone pilots, different situations, and the right drone operator to get these images over to Twila and Gene. Gene's going to be in on it, right? Yeah. So having Gene Robinson in on this thing is very soothing to me, because I know that he is a consummate professional. This guy doesn't miss much. He's probably just almost as smart as Ed Wallace. Not quite, but
oh, stop. I really don't know any of these things. I just stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
There you go. And you saved a lot of money on your car insurance by switching to Geico, right? Yeah, there you go.
We getting these free commercials. Are we getting paid for this?
Absolutely not. Nothing. I want to just say in closing, thank you to Dave and Twila from EquuSearch Midwest. You guys are doing God's work. You continue to search for the missing. You're searching now for evidence and weaponry and things of that nature for the police department. Twila soon is going to get her deputy badge. But yeah, you guys are doing it all. So, with this technology and with the generous donations from folks like you in the audience, we did that again. I keep circling back to it because I think it's so important. We did the fundraiser in February that helped get this equipment into Dave and Twila's hands, who in turn, as you see, is passing it around to not only law enforcement, but they're passing it around to families who have loved ones that are missing. And what better of a cause to donate to than to get equipment out from a great search group like EquuSearch Midwest and Dave Rader and his crew. They're doing a fantastic job, and I can never stop talking about these guys because they're doing such a great job. So will you guys promise to come back and give us updates as they unfold?
100%.
Absolutely. And I'll be in contact. Me and Candace, we talk, and we'll be in contact this upcoming week with what plans and stuff. And we'll pick a time to come back on there and fill you in and let y'all know what's going on with it. But we haven't forgot Dylan. We're not going to forget him, and we're going to keep going and keep going and keep going until we hopefully can find him.
Dave, anything for the troops?
Again, I appreciate all your listeners, and this is a team effort, and with you and Ed and Twila and all the right spots in this entire team that we have. That's why we're very successful at what we do. So I just appreciate everybody for what they do.
Thank you. Thank you. Twila, any parting words for the group?
Just treat people the way you want to be treated, because you never know what they're going through. And sometimes just giving somebody a simple little smile can make their day. And, don't go out here judging people when they got missing loved ones and stuff like that, because you don't know what's going on in their head. When you got a missing person, your mind is just, I can't imagine the pain, because I treat these families like they're my family, and I try to, relate to them, and I can't. But just try to be nice out there. Be nice. It goes a long way.
Amen.
Yeah. Amen. Also, too, Dawn Marie sent in a message. She's a member of 29 months, DutyRon Bronze. Thank you, Dawn. She says, we appreciate you, EquuSearch, with the heart. And the members only messages that are there that are free to send, I can't highlight them with StreamYard. And that's the only reason I'm not highlighting them. It doesn't show up in StreamYard. And I hope that they fix that, where I highlight those messages like this one right here. Well said, Twila, says Stargirl. I promised the audience before Ed and I say goodbye, a few minutes of Q&A. We're at an hour and 10 minutes. Ed is going to have to get overtime. Dave's going to have to get overtime, and Twila. And I'm the only one left holding the bag. I got to sign the pieces of paper that say IOU. Let's go to the audience quick for a couple of questions. Dave, you got a minute?
Absolutely.
Twila, I got to check with the lady too. She says yes. Okay,
that'd be
good.
fine. Yes.
And Ed, I know you are always looking at the comments because your face tells it all. When you start smiling, you see something good. That's what I love about Ed. He's a sharp guy, and he watches everything. And me, I'm just trying to think of the next thing that I'm going to be doing here. So I'm not looking at the chat like he is. So that's what's great about having Ed there. Mm-hmm. So here, I don't want to even attempt this name, Ogdal. I don't know. I know I'm screwing it up. She says, may Dylan be found ASAP and brought home. Amen. Amen. Mm-hmm. So let's look. Let's see. I always do this. I wait to the end, and then when I ask for the questions, these are the things that come in. Sosina, a good friend from Italia, she says, Twila has a heart of gold. I agree. I think we all agree. Okay. Don sent this earlier, so I apologize, Don. He says, can you detect anything flying over water, like a body in the water, or if something is, got a brick tied down to it or a cinder block? Would you be able to find that with this program? Thank you for that question, Don.
I think it just depends. I think it depends on how long the person's been missing and this, that, and the other. But I think Dave knows somebody, or I think it was Dave or maybe Tony. Somebody told me something that somebody was able to find something in a body of water with the drone, right, Dave?
They were actually, we were going to magnet fish for another gun, and it was in the Mad River up in Dayton, Ohio. Yeah. And I made this whole magnet thing. I mean, it was like 6 magnets wide, and the next morning I got a phone call from the detective, and he's laughing. He says, we're not allowed to go magnet fishing. He says, they found the gun. And I says, how the hell did they find the gun? They used a drone. So the drone actually flew over where they thought that the suspect threw the gun, and the stars, the moon, the worlds must have just absolutely came together, and they could actually see it, and it was in knee-deep water. So the only thing I could think of is that the gun was silver instead of black, and it caught the sun just right.
And magnet fishing is a big thing, man. I see people on YouTube and TikTok doing magnet fishing and have thousands of people watching them do it. And they're pulling guns, and they're pulling old typewriters, and they're pulling bicycles out of the water, bodies of water, and some of them are finding, guns. So, hey, here's a question for Ed Wallace. And this is a tough one because it is kind of a little gory. Can Dylan still be found if his body is dissolved by lye or sulfuric acid, drain cleaners, peroxide, etc.?
Well, I will tell you that we've had several cases here in New York City where a mafia body disposal expert, exactly what he did was put these bodies in 55-gallon drums. And now lye is more destructive to human tissue than acid. So it would be lye. And you can really, over time, get rid of the whole body.
Yeah.
Okay. And so it'd be very difficult if that were the case.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's your answer to that. And thank you. Ed doesn't sugarcoat anything. He's going to give it to you straightforward. Tammy Donaldson, yes, it's in trusted, capable hands. Candace has she has the drone, and she's got instructions, right? Twila, I mean, I know you've given her instructions on who to give it to and who not to give it to, and she knows, right?
Absolutely, 100%. And when me and Candace talked one day about it, and when that conversation came up about shipping that drone out there to her, I didn't hesitate. I was like, absolutely, 100%. And it was in the mail that Monday. We spoke about it Friday or Saturday, and it was in the mail on Monday. And I trust that woman wholeheartedly with that piece of equipment. There is no doubt she will not let nothing happen to that thing. She called me yesterday. She let me know she got it, and I know she's protecting that like a jewel. Absolutely, 100%.
Perfect. Here's something from the chat. Thank you, channel, for being a channel member. He says, heads up, Heavy D's been out searching, also checking mine shafts. Obviously, this person came in the middle of this live stream because we talked about this, and I actually highlighted just moments ago, like 5 minutes ago, we were in the mine shafts with HeavyDSparks, courtesy of technology. Dave Rader has just rejoined us, so thank you, Dave, for coming back. All right, we're going to wrap it up here. I think we got a lot of questions out there. Lex Luther says, thank you, Twila and Dave Rader, for all you do, guys. Yeah, thanks goes a long way because it is a thankless job of what they do, and they don't look to get paid for it. This is another thing that I want to clarify here. If family members offer to pay you guys for your services for anything, I see Dave's already shaking his head, but I'm gonna ask the question so it's clear and concise. If a family member asks you guys to come and offers you $10,000 or a payment and offers to pay for your services, pay for your stuff, what's the response? I'll let the director go, and then Twila.
Absolutely not. Again, they're going through. And as Tim Miller has always said, that they paid the ultimate price already. So, absolutely not. We don't take money from families.
What about reward money?
No, I have never had reward money offered or anything like that. And even if we did, I would decline it. Absolutely. This isn't about
money.
I
mean, a prime example of families offering things. Candace and Justin wanted to pay for mine and Tony's flight to come out there to work this with them, and I was like, no, Dave is going to take care of that. From people like you guys that's here. If it wasn't for y'all, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And like Dave and DutyRon says, we'll take money out of our own pocket to do it because that's our passion, that's our heart, and we feel like I couldn't say it any different, but Lost is not alone. And we want you to know that there are people out there that cares. But Candace and Justin, Candace offered to pay for our flights out there. And I was like, no, we can't do that. And I'm sorry, but we can't do that.
Yeah.
It's just not fair. They shouldn't have to worry about coming out of their pocket to pay for this and pay for that with everything that they have going on, in their head about their missing loved one. It's just not right. You know what I mean?
Right. And I'll give you a prime example. Ed's going to agree with me on this because him and I are both from the, same police department. I would go to 1013s, and what 1013s were in the police department was if a family was in need or if a police officer was shot and killed in the line of duty, some months later, we would, as a department and a union, get together and have a massive fundraiser for that family member, for the wife, the children of the slain police officer, or if a police officer gets really severely injured in the line of duty
or sick,
cancer, and so forth. We would have these big 1013s. Those are an officer needs assistance. That's the code on our radio. And I know that overwhelming 99.99999% of the police officers, if you were to win a 50-50 or anything like that, what would we do, Ed? We
give the money back.
You give
the money back. Yeah.
So in situations where, say, if EquuSearch or any other groups or whatever are offered someone wants to, or force on them the money, that's another option to say, you know what, give that $20,000 to this poor family who's now missing. We found their loved one. Give it to them. They need it. Although you guys rely on generous donations from the public. You're a nonprofit organization and you go out there and search for free. But that's what we do. We give the money back. We don't take the money. You know what I mean? And that's really what this is about.
Pay it forward.
Yeah, pay it forward. We do it all the time. And speaking of pay it forward, why don't I give away a couple of free channel memberships?
Let's do it. Yeah.
I love to do that. Twila, do you want to help us out here a little bit?
Sure, I'll help you.
All you got to tell everybody is that all they got to do is subscribe to DutyRon and give the video a thumbs up, and they can have a chance to win 10 free channel memberships.
Wow. So if you want to become a channel member for DutyRon and see these two fine fellas up here at the top, please hit that thumbs up and make sure you share, put this out there, because these two guys right here are who's saving the world. They bring awareness to these missing people. They get their names out there. They do coverage on it, and they only bring you the facts. So if you want to get a membership, or DutyRon's going to give them away. I can't see who to pick, though. Maybe I can say pick a number through something. I don't know.
It does it randomly, but they need to be subscribed and give the thumbs up. So we're going to wait for 500 thumbs up. We're at 430 right now. So quickly, everybody that's here, let's get that number to 500 on the thumbs up. And then when it's 500, I will gift 20 channel memberships to 20.
Right. And if you haven't subscribed, go on and subscribe right now. And
yeah, go ahead and subscribe.
Twila, you're too kind. I think it's you and Dave that are the heroes. You're the boots on the ground. We're the guys behind the mics.
Correct.
Oh, that's very kind of you to say. We're just folks.
As I've always said, Ed, it's a team effort.
That's right.
Yeah, there's no I in team.
And we got an amazing team. We got some amazing people on our team. I mean, it's like one big old huge family. I think Dave always says it's a bunch of misfits that fit or something like that. But when we all get together and we cry tears, we laugh, we joke, and we're just people. We're just humans that like to help others. That's all we are.
At the bottom there, I don't know if you guys could see it, but it says Gene Robertson. That's our drone professional. He's the guru when it comes to drones.
That's right.
rpsearchservices.org is a way to go over and donate to him. And I don't know if you guys are still talking with Brian. I know you are, right? Brian from Oklahoma Search and Rescue. He's a great guy too.
I just talked to him the other day.
Here's his website, Oklahoma msars.org. You've gone over there, and here's the donation link. These are all great stuff. Twila, what do you got going on over there? You got the kids outside?
My child here, she has 2 goldfish, and she's telling me come help her fix her goldfish.
Hi, sweetie. How are you?
Hi. Good. Hi. So Brian, speaking of Brian, one of his out there where he lives at, they do this thing called I think it's called paying it forward or something like that. And this lady, I'm not sure if it's his teammate or who, but she nominated him. The news people do this, or the bank or somebody nominated Brian, and they went in. DutyRon, I'll find the interview. I'll find it and send it to you. But it's a video where they actually surprised Brian with paying it forward or something. I was actually in tears when I seen it the other day. But somebody nominated Brian and the stuff that he does, and I'm gonna tell you that man's smart too, because he's taught me a lot. He taught me a lot before I even joined with EquuSearch, and he's the one who actually got me in the right direction to join EquuSearch. But I'll have to send you the video for you to show on for everybody, because it'll make you cry. Trust me.
That's awesome.
All right.
Dave, here's one for you. Laura Daddy God says, Dave, I remember when you were $150. You look great. We can't do a live stream without some woman trying to give Dave and his Goldilocks all his. Look, I remember when you were 150 pounds tops. Now you look like a stud, Dave. Wow. All right, that's just a little humor. We got to add it in there. We're at the 500. We're just eight or nine thumbs up shy of 500. So I got 20 in the hopper. I'm locked and loaded, ready to give 20 memberships out. That's $100 give back.
Spin that wheel. Spin that
Twila,
wheel.
look who's here. Look who's here, Twila.
Oh, Jerica, that's my mom. She's a mess. She is something else. She's one strong little girl. I tell you, she ain't gonna take no mess.
I love her. She's
that's
great.
my daughter.
She's instrumental in getting you proper Wi-Fi. So thank you, Jerica.
All right.
Yeah, she's great. All right, here we go. So 500. We're at it. I promise and I deliver. Ed, you want to give a countdown?
Spin that wheel.
Let's do it. Hopefully my credit card goes through. Twila, do you think I'm good for it? She's laughing.
I think you're good. If you're not good, and we got your back, right, Dave? We got his back on that one.
Absolutely.
Dave, I can afford $99.80. That's what 20 memberships are. All right, here we go. Everybody give the thumbs up, like and subscribe, and let me know if you're new by saying new here. And let's get the chat going crazy right now. So we're kind of spinning the wheel, as Ed said. 20 memberships randomly going out. Here we go. Did the credit card go through, Ed? What do you think? 50-50?
I think so.
It went through. Bingo. Yahtzee. Let's see who got it.
How can a black card not go through?
Oh, Jesus. Stop giving up my trade secrets, Dave. All right, there they all are. They're going through fast. I gotta go back to tell everybody who was gifted. Alyssa Goose was gifted a membership. Thank you, Alyssa. Sarah Gates, Tiffany B, Alyssa Goose, Untamed Abel, Sweet Caroline. I love that screen name. She got one.
Caroline.
Misty D Dawn. Missouri Country Girl 81. Luther Lex was gifted a membership.
Lex Luthor.
Naomi N. Pards was gifted a membership. A. Sazin was gifted a membership. Mary Wright was gifted a membership. Teresa was gifted a membership. Violet Gal was gifted a membership. Judith Lyons. Purdy. Oh, you're so purdy. You got a membership. Thank you. I love giving back. Sienna was gifted. Susan Fisher was gifted a membership. Excellent. Look at all that. Ed?
Yeah, awesome.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
Wow.
Welcome to the family, folks. Go over and check out all your perks that you get from that 30 days of free channel membership. And I hope that some of these folks who we gift these memberships to see what we're doing and consider continuing to subscribe and support this channel. Because if you continue with your memberships, it helps to support great groups like these two guys down here, Dave and Twila. Your memberships go to help supporting them. So thank you to everybody who's joined. As I always like to end these things, God bless the world, God bless the United States of America, and God bless each and every one of us here in the chat, but especially the victims and their families. We send them strength, prayers, and positive vibes. Thank you so much for joining. Ed, you got to always get your 2 cents in too.
Yes, remember, stay safe, stay prepared, and watch your 6.
Good day from New York and all these various different locations, Ohio, and who knows where Twila is. She just moved. She could be in Texarkana for all we know. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining. Good day from DutyRon. Peace.
Bye.